And welcome back, folks. Rivalry week. Rivalry week is back. Are you ready, Kev?
Good old fashioned the game
The
Iron Bowl hate.
dude, we're gonna be talking about it some more, obviously, when we go through the games. But I was watching all the clips of the flag planting from last year's rivalry week, and like, you remember how every game was pretty much a brawl? I want it to happen again so badly. I want it to get bad, man.
And
And I
I
want
think it could.
another guy from Ohio State to kind of another like state senator or whatever that dude was, who made the softest political move in American history and the worst use of our judicial system when he tried to introduce a bill that would make it a crime to plant a flag in the state of Ohio.
I'd like to say there's been worse moves in our country's judicial history, for the record.
Like what, Kevin? No. All right. Why don't we get right into it? Oh, but here, I see you had some college basketball talk on here, Kevy boy. All right.
Yeah, and for the day ones, they know the Hokies are our main focus point, and Hokies won the first round of the Battle for Atlantis, so they're 6-0 for the first time since 2019. But the little stat I have here on the screen, it was interesting. Starting off this week, so Monday morning, there still hadn't been a ranked team who had lost to an unranked team yet. NC State, unfortunately, was the first victim of that. And then I believe, I'm definitely going to get this wrong, but I think it was Cal upset somebody. So you see there's two non-ranked teams who have beat a
Yeah.
ranked team now.
Wait, you said
But
Owls like Temple?
Cal, like Cal Bears.
Oh,
It
Cal.
was, yeah, it was an ACC team who got the other upset on a non-ACC team. But the kind of crazy that I think it must have been some sort of record. It was like 96 games or something.
Jesus.
But yeah, so hopefully, I mean, we
Beautiful.
love college basketball for the
We do.
chaos. And hopefully there's more of that to
Did
come.
there's
Well, I was gonna
definitely going
say
to be.
these like Thanksgiving weekend tournaments that are in the Bahamas, that are in like Key West, or actually it's
Yeah,
not
man.
in Key West, but in Vegas. Like that's kind of a great destination for a family to go for Thanksgiving, get some sun, see your team play. I've always said if I win the lottery, I'm taking all the boys to the Battle for Atlantis to watch the Hokies. So
Very good.
excited.
Very good. We love that. Um, Want to get into some football, Kev?
I'd love to.
All right, we got to obviously talk about week 13. That was a fun weekend. I mean, we really have some people shooting for the stars now with the CFP coming out. I think one of my biggest takeaways was this. Georgia Tech has been wholly exposed a little bit. That, oh my good Lord. And Pat Narduzzi. Um, we just
I we
listen to him from now on, I guess.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
What was the
we got to give props to and they jumped out. So Pitt jumped out to a 28-0 lead, I believe.
that
Maybe it was
sounds
21-0,
right.
but yeah. And to Georgia Tech's credit, they did fight back. They came close to bring it. They were down by a touchdown, had Pitt in the third down late in the fourth quarter. Pitt converted a couple plays later. Pitt got like a 50-yard, either a run or a pass, but that iced the game. Also in that game, Georgia Tech was knocking on the goal line. It was like a 99-yard pick six that Pitt got. So that was,
Yep.
I mean, that was one of those games that if you're not a Georgia Tech fan, it's the reason why you love watching college football. Just that kind of chaos.
Absolutely, Kev. And I see your one note there about Oregon and how we just the olive branch has been extended enough. I think it's getting to the point where like us trying to make inroads with Oregon is like Trump coming out and saying that there's a peace deal in Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna really happen. We all know that. I don't know if that was too topical or not, but
Dang,
whatever.
dude. This
Um,
is not just a football podcast, but
not
also
we're gonna no, we're not gonna get
this
into
is
that.
just a football podcast. But I will say, I don't
Yes.
know if you can see the watermark there, but Lane Kiffin, I feel like he was a big
Oh,
storyline of
oh yeah,
last week. To where there's been rumors and whatnot, so I don't think this is a rumor, but I believe Ole Miss almost kind of gave him an ultimatum where
yeah.
that he may not be finishing the season with Ole Miss if he doesn't extend. It's getting a little messy.
It is. They offered him a pretty big sum. It was 13.5 mil. That would put him at like the top of the game, essentially, with the highest paid coaches up there with Kirby Smart. So, I mean, look, Lane Kiffin right now is going to be cloned in the next week 3 times over so that he can go everywhere that people are saying he's going to go. Is there a chance he stays at Ole Miss?
I
Seems like
kind of hope
no.
so. I kind of hope so, but it does it. I don't know because it's also tough, when I see what is a rumor, it's always by either an LSU fan or Florida.
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't heard many rumors from Florida fans. It does seem like it's either going to be LSU or Ole Miss, but
Hmm.
it's if you are Lane Kiffin, and at this point, you must really realize the limitations that might come with being the Ole Miss coach, which is to no fault of himself, to the program, to the university, to the players. But there's just when there's a team like LSU that has that prestige and that heritage, there's just going to be more opportunities, more donors. And so I do wonder if it's, I mean, this is, hate to tie it back to Virginia Tech, but when our women's basketball
Go.
coach, Kenny Brooks, left to go to Kentucky, it was simply a matter of they had a larger budget, they had more donors, and they had better resources to get better players. But I'd love to see Lane Kiffin for at least one more year at Ole Miss,
No.
But
Kev, I'm
at
going
this,
to.
yeah,
No, no,
sorry.
finish your thought. Sorry, go
I was going
ahead.
to say at the same time, next year an LSU coaching vacancy won't be there. Florida coaching vacancy won't be there. So it's kind of like, if he does want to leave after next
But
year, he won't have a chance. Yeah, or he won't have the same opportunities to leave Ole Miss and go to an LSU next year. If he renews his contract with Ole Miss, and of this time next year he's thinking about going somewhere else, there's not going to be the LSU coaching job available. There's not going to be the Florida coaching job available, right?
you're talking a lot there, man. I could see your mind going and going. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
whatever.
Lane Kiffin coach. We're gonna end it on that because I just want to touch on some other points. The Notre Dame Syracuse game, that was basically like the Simpsons meme of stop, he's already dead. The first three scores by Notre Dame, the offense didn't get a single snap. Wow, that was amazing. BYU, after beating Cincinnati by 2 scores, there should be some more respect on their name in terms of CFP contention. I'm just gonna say that. We already talked about that Oregon game. That was crazy. The entire SEC decided to take a snooze fest last weekend. They were all pretty much blowouts, except we had the Kentucky Vanderbilt matchup where Diego Pavia did some stat padding, and so his mom did some stat padding of her own in the stands there. So, yeah, take with that what you will. And yeah, we actually were right about Notre Dame all along. Let's get into let's talk about some football. Let's talk about some actual football. We got the CFP here,
Yeah, and
the
go ahead and
rankings.
skip to the next slide because these are just the rankings. Nothing much changed, but this is the slide that I think really
Ah,
encapsulates. Um,
ooh, wow.
yeah, this shows, and I got to give credit to the Reddit user who created this table. I
Oh,
believe they've been doing it throughout the season. Um, but yeah,
did we
I
get
gave him the shout out. I gave him the
did we get
credit.
permission to use it, or are we just
We
shooting
get
from the hip? Okay,
less than
shoot from the hip.
100 views. We don't need permission for anything. But
Legal
yes,
doesn't happen yet. Okay, that's fine. Needs a little help. It needs a lot of help. USF, yeah. Okay, where's JMU on here?
They're at the very
Oh,
bottom.
that
They need a
Sun
little
Belt
help.
need a little help.
Yeah.
That they do. Yeah, that
Yeah.
they do. Okay, clinch, control zone, destiny. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's anybody on here that I disagree with. Um, duh, okay, we're gonna talk about Notre Dame.
I was
Michigan
gonna
is a conversation, definitely. We're also gonna be talking about them. Same with Pitt and Miami. Oh, I would love for Navy to get in. Oh, I would love for Navy to get in. Um, I think the sun is set on Georgia Tech, but yeah, okay. This is great. Credit to Zombie 6765.
Yeah. The profit. I'm pretty sure that Reddit account's more than 5 months old, so credit where credit's due. Yeah. Here's our games we're covering. The big ones, the 4 big ones. And there were some others we left off that we will note on. And after we do these 4 games, I just have a little breakdown of the other games that have an implication for the conference championship games. So we'll touch on those other ones just for any users that are concerned that we left out a few games.
And for anybody who's wondering, who's watching, I'm flying blind right now. Kevin made the entire presentation, and this is the first time I'm seeing it. So hopefully there's nothing that's going to get us canceled, but we will see and hope for the best. All right. So first one first. Kev, do we want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's go right to good old-fashioned hate. Georgia
Good
Tech.
old-fashioned hate. I love this game. Let's go over some of the basics of this game. All right, this is going to be at a neutral site, quote unquote neutral. I mean, these campuses are not that far apart from each other, but it is in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium Dome. Everybody keep that in mind. It's going to be played at 3:30 this wait, is that a Saturday game? Kev?
Friday game. We got
Friday
2 Friday
game.
games,
That's
2
right.
Saturday
Okay.
games.
Why do I not have dates in front of me? That's stupid. The weather does not matter, but it's going to be 47 degrees out. Okay. We got the first matchup in a while, where Georgia Tech kind of has a shot here. All right. And Kev, one thing that I wanted to do for each of these games is kind of talk just about the history of the rivalries. Are you okay with that?
Yes, I would love that so much.
Okay. So this is the first time in recent memory that there is some hype around this matchup. I think it's much less after Georgia Tech just got touched in a very unsavory way by Pitt last week. Okay. Clean, old-fashioned hate with these campuses separated by 70 miles. Both teams claim 4 national championships in their entire history. That's one thing to know. Obviously, we know that Georgia's have come a lot more recently, right? Now, one fact about this rivalry, a historic matchup that I saw that I kind of wanted to bring to the attention of our viewers is there was a game in 1919 that they called the Wartime Disruption, right? That was when UGA had a parade mocking the Georgia Tech players during the pre-game rituals or ceremonies, whatever you want to call them, because what had happened was Georgia had sent a lot of their able-bodied men to fight in World War I. Okay, so they didn't play either the 1917 or 1918 season because of that fact. Georgia Tech, which was a purely military school at the time, still played throughout that season. So basically, they had a parade in Georgia where they called all the Georgia Tech people a bunch of pansies who didn't fight in the war.
Whoa. Do you know who won that game?
Yeah, well, that game, I believe it was a blowout by Georgia. But following that, and this is where it gets kind of funny, Georgia Tech. Wow, I'm sorry, I'm spacing out. I'm a little tired here. Georgia Tech decided to stop playing the matchup altogether. And it wasn't until 1925 that they kind of shook hands and got over it.
I love hearing that 100 years ago we
Yeah,
kind of same people, like same like anger,
same petty
yeah,
nonsense, same
same
rivalries.
shortcomings, same
All
passion.
of those people are dead now, but we're still doing the same thing. Yeah, okay. So back in the day when Georgia Tech had Bobby Dodd. He did lead the team to win 8 games in a row in this series between 1949 and 1956. But that changed in 1964 when Vince Dooley took over coaching at UGA. And since 69, the Dogs have dominated this rivalry, going 41-14. But what's changed this year?
Everything for Georgia Tech.
That's right. Yeah. That was kind of my parlay into letting you talk now so that I
Oh,
can organize
yeah.
my thought.
And
Yeah.
not to harp too much on the past, but this game last year was absolutely electric. I remember I was driving into Blacksburg to go to the Virginia Tech UVA game on Saturday. It was Friday night, and I got in right as this game was going into overtime. And even last year, maybe it was Georgia slipping or sleeping on the Yellow Jackets, but they came to play. They punched them in the mouth at home, almost got out there with a victory. So a lot of the same players. I think Georgia Tech believes they can win this one. Um, if there's an area that Georgia Tech needs to, and it's hard to cover for something like this, but they do
Yeah.
rank number 111th in the country opposing rush yards per play at 4.9.
Yeah.
UGA obviously has a good rush. I wouldn't say UGA has a great rush, and this might catch me some flack, or great defense, but they have a very good rushing attack on offense and a very good defense. Just by way of the numbers, they're not top 10 in much. They're number 7 in opponent rush yards per game with 92.1. But then on the passing, they are number 53 with 212 opponent passing yards per game. So
Okay.
I think when you see this game, when you see this line, I think some people do just assume it's going to be a blowout because Georgia has the talent. Georgia has the. I guess what I think most people look at this game, they think it's going to be like a 28-6 type game. But
Hmm.
Georgia Tech, I think we've seen all year long teams who get embarrassed or just lose the week before, a lot of times they bounce back. And
They do bounce back. Yeah.
because they also are told, they're given the answers to where their shortcomings are. They have a week to work on it, and they're going to come out looking different, um, different in those areas where they struggled. Obviously Georgia will have the blueprint in what Pitt did last week, but Georgia Tech's had a whole week. They could come out completely different approach, different
It's
attack.
a
And so,
100% a bounce back spot here, man. I mean,
mhm.
and look, here's what I have been thinking about this for the last 30 minutes. When it comes down to Haynes King in this game,
Yeah, Tyler's messing with that mute real quick. Um, but yeah, this game I think it is going to come down to Georgia Tech's ability to stay on track, like stay in front of the chains. They're not going to have much success if they find themselves in 3rd and 9 against Tyler. You going? I cannot hear Tyler, so I'm just going to keep talking while I try to figure that out. Tyler, give me a nod if you can hear me. All right, hell yeah. Yeah, I think if Georgia Tech finds themselves behind the chains, well, Georgia is pretty good on 3rd down. Their opponents only convert 37.59. Still can't hear you, man. But we're professionals at this point, so I'll just keep going. And as I say that, this is kind of the last big stat I have. So hopefully Tyler does figure it out soon. Um, I predict very few turnovers, if any, in this game, just because. So Georgia Tech, they're they're averaging 0.5 takeaways on defense. That's 133rd in the country. Georgia, on the other hand, 0.9 takeaways. It's 103rd in the country. Now, both these teams, Georgia Tech gives the ball away 1 time per game. That's 24th in the country. UGA, zero point 0.9 times per game, 12th in the country. So this could be some good football, some good clean football. Tyler, how are we doing? Hmm. Let's see. Hey Tyler, how about this? Why don't you reveal my pick? we'll get to the end of this game. We'll get to the end of covering this game. We'll take a little break to figure out the audio issue. I don't know if there's anything else you really wanted to add. I think you gave great context there, but yeah, we're both for the second week in a row. We are picking Georgia Tech. The reason why I did the under is I do think this game could stall out just because of both teams' ability to stop their opponent on third and fourth down, and neither are stellar themselves converting third downs, fourth downs. So these are our picks. Low confidence, as you can see, because Georgia does have the talent to run away with it. But yeah, we kind of like Georgia Tech on this podcast. So, all right, wrap for this segment.
Okay, nothing's going right. Technical difficulties is what we should rename this channel to at this point. Yeah, professionals do or die pretty much. Okay, we're talking right now about the Lone Star matchup. Is that what it's called? The Lone Star matchup? I got that right? Didn't
I
I?
believe so.
Okay, whatever.
That's just
But
blind
yeah,
faith in
okay.
you.
So, but blind faith in me, that's not a good thing at all. Okay, so this Friday, you got a night game happening down there in Austin. We are going to be playing at the DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. It's going to be 61 degrees and nice and cloudy. And right now we are looking at A&M favored by a smaller margin than I was thinking they would be favored by, Kev. Really thought that I was going to, gun to my head, I was going to put this one at like 7.5, but we got 2.5 here. So maybe not 7.5. Okay. And as I said that, maybe that's too high. 4.5 is probably what I would have put it at. But okay. So that being said, Kev, one of the keys that I have been thinking about in this game is I keep going back to Arch Manning's progression throughout the season. The kid looks good. The kid looks like he's starting to actually click a little bit more. And I think that poise when he is going to be going up, especially in this kind of scenario where it's a rivalry game, the first rivalry game where it's a ranked team in A&M who is already in the playoffs, no matter what happens. They're going to the SEC championships, but this will be their first undefeated season since 1992 if they can get it done, and it'll be their first time going to the SEC championship since they joined the SEC back in 2011. Kev, while I pull up my notes about the history here about this one, what do you got?
I'll give a couple quick stats, and I think you are square on with Arch Manning has been developing. You know, you could say that Georgia game was a hiccup, but this is a game that they were in
Yeah,
until the
wait.
fourth quarter. Yeah,
Pause
Georgia
there.
hit that
Number. I
onside
got it.
kick. Then
Can
they
you hear
went up
me?
28-10 afterwards. But the one thing, and this is unfortunate because I
Kev.
can see Tyler
Kev, I lost you.
unfortunately frozen. Um,
Kev. Kev,
a whole
no.
lot of nothing's going right. Let me disconnect from Wi-Fi myself. Is that on my end or your end?
You're completely frozen.
You're frozen too. Um, Jesus. Dude. Wait, I
Okay.
it shows me as back.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I'll edit that out again.
Okay, so we'll just take it from where you told me to go, like where you said you were gonna go through your notes, and then I'll.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Start talking.
Okay. So, and Tyler, you could not be more spot on that Arch Manning is he has been developing. You know, I think too many people wrote him off because he has that in his blood, that talent. You could look at that Georgia game as a bit of a hiccup, but this was a game they were competitive in up until Georgia got the onside kick in the fourth quarter when they were up 10-21. I think they went up 28-10. Any way you look at it, you know, he's starting to peak at the right time. Here's where I see Texas A&M giving problems to Arch Manning, and I'm sure anyone who's watched more than one of these preview videos for this game is probably sick of hearing about Arch Manning. But
Yeah,
Texas A&M, number one in the country in QB sack percentage,
I noticed that. Yeah.
10.86% of dropouts or of dropbacks. They find the sack, and Texas is not the best in protection in those regards, ranking 63rd in the country in QB protection. So you got some facts on the rivalry
Yeah,
you wanted to
no,
share?
let me start by saying this one has a little bit more of a wholesome historical game. So, but let's go back to when it began. They've played every year between 1915 and 2011. Obviously, there was that hiatus between 2011 and 24 until Texas came along and joined the SEC as well. Now I want to go back to the 1999 bonfire game. Kev, do you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
I
Yeah.
do. Yep.
Okay, so you know about the 12 students at A&M, right? Who tragically lost their lives. I think wait, no, it was 11 students and one former student. Um, and Texas responds at that rivalry game by coming out, and their band was doing like a bunch of like tributes to the 18 students. They, had a whole like just memorial thing planned for them at the game. It was beautiful. I watched the video earlier today. And then one of the other things that was cool about that was Texas A&M, who was ranked 17 at the time, upset at number 5, ranked Texas 20-16. In popular media, this rivalry is featured in the plot of the 1978 stage musical, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. There was a 1982 movie about the same play starring, what was it? Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton. I kind of want to put that on my watching list. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. Oh, yeah. And also, both teams' fight songs mention the other team, which is pretty funny. The guy who wrote the one for the Aggies was a World War One Marine who wrote it. His name was J.V. Pinky Wilson, and the name of the song is "Goodbye to Texas University." Um, oh yeah, and then at that bonfire game, both the Bush boys, senior and junior, were there. So, yeah, our country's leaders back at the time. Kev, what else do we want to talk about this matchup? I mean, we need to. Here's one thing I saw. Arch Manning is dramatically improved. We already talked about that. But since the beginning of the season struggles, I saw people saying that Marcel Reed has reignited his Heisman hope after coming back against South Carolina. Oh, I gotta stop that though, because look, it's impressive that he did the comeback, but a Heisman candidate can't be doing that first half of that game. You know what I mean? I I, I get that there's the argument, but it would be one thing if it was like a ranked matchup and he was playing well. He threw 3 picks in that first half. I'm sorry, a 3-pick game puts you out of Heisman contention in my mind, especially when you have the talent that we're talking about with guys like Julian Sand, Fernando Mendoza, and Jeremiah Love. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I don't know if you
True.
have anything different.
Well, just on that point, I think Marcel Reed could sneak into the Heisman finalist, especially with an impressive win here. Um, say there's a world where Michigan upsets Ohio State, and Indiana drops like a head scratcher to Purdue, then I think you have to put the quarterback for the only undefeated team in the country in the Heisman finalist group. But yeah, that South Carolina game, the first half was a head scratcher. I think I texted you because in the first half of that game, even the announcers were kind of starting to dogpile on Texas A&M,
Yep.
bringing up how they have essentially played only the bottom half of the SEC this year, which
You play who you play. It's tough to really go
they
back on that.
showed up against Missouri. They showed up
Right.
against LSU pre Brian Kelly firing. They're kind of the reason why Brian Kelly got fired, if I'm not mistaken. Showed up on the road at Notre Dame. This is a tough team. This is a team that I think, not to give my own pick away, but I think can cover this spread here.
We might as well give our picks away
Yeah.
because
The only
I'm trying to
only other
fumble.
note on the rivalry game, the Texas A&M
Uh,
Border Collie mascot. I believe it's a Border Collie, right? Yeah,
I,
First Lady of Aggieland. Yes, yes.
yo. Okay.
Yes. I believe, and this again, it's sometimes rivalry hard to discern the rumors from reality, but I believe Texas is not letting the dog on the field.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that on Reddit a couple hours ago. Didn't have time to verify it. We'll let maybe the comments fact check me on that because, to be honest, I am tired of spreading misinformation on this podcast. We don't mean to, but sometimes we do. Yeah,
Yeah. Look,
you can see
my
we're in line
reasoning
here.
here. Well, go ahead. No, let me give my last thing. I just don't think what I've seen and everything I'm looking at points me towards um Texas being able to cover it, and if they do, I'm a happy guy because I like it better for the sport. I just think that Texas A&M's roster is more complete and they're better by Texas. I don't think this is going to be one where anything flunky happens. I think a lot of people are going to take the Arch train without just looking at the actual stats and everything like that, and I don't think they're going to have to rely completely on Marcel Reed to deliver this game because the way that Texas A&M's rush defense and quarterback pressure is going to just be putting Arch into like some of those kind of like crazy hurry up mentalities, which is what made him lose that Florida game. So that's my 2 cents. Let's get back into. Wait, hold on. No, um, you put this one before Pitt.
Yeah, I mean they're both at noon, so
Okay, fine.
I do them
Um,
chronologically.
the game,
The game.
the game. This is a fun rivalry, and I was thinking about it to myself today, Kev. Is this the greatest rivalry? Period.
Dude, I've heard people talk about it, and I'm going to say no. At least
Okay,
in my lifetime, the Iron Bowl has been greater and
that's
produced
fair.
more. This game has been as exciting as it's been. It was Ohio State winning for like 8, 9 years in a row, and then Michigan's won the last 4. So it hasn't gone back and forth like the Iron Bowl has because believe you me, I've heard the talk about this being the greatest rivalry game,
Yep.
and it either is or it's among the top 2 or 3. I don't think it's necessarily worlds ahead of. I did see somebody say that the Iron Bowl wasn't even in the same stratosphere as the game, and that one kind of irked me. But this is truly one of sports' greatest rivalries.
I think just because of the longevity too, and the fact that this rivalry it has not just been like nice cutesy like ritualistic handshakes. It's been dog fights.
This
It's
is
been
vitriol.
brawls. This is hate. This isn't like good old fashioned like if the same thing happened that A&M like in that Texas A&M rivalry happened here. I think Michigan would probably have like a billboard making fun of the students who died. Like
Oh, that's tough, but
I genuinely believe that. Talking about last year, that brawl was so much fun. I've been watching that fight video so many times this week, just listening to Jack Sawyer like just cry, and then you go pan to the sidelines. Ryan Day's like, what happened? Like the biggest dope alive. And the announcers, I forget who it was, are blaming Michigan the entire time. And look, I get it, the flag planting thing and whatever, but I mean, there's no respect between the two programs. And again, the fact that an Ohio guy tried to make a law because of the flag planting thing, that is baby diaper soft right there. That is how soft that is. All right, let me talk about some other historical moments. That's what I'm being useful for this game, okay? Or this episode, excuse me. This one's been played since 1897, man. That's 2 generations of people dying ago, basically. There's only been one break in this rivalry, and that was or I'm sorry, there's only been one break since 1918, and that has been COVID, the COVID year, the COVID asterisk year. As of 2024, Michigan has the most wins, and OSU has the second most wins in NCAA D1 football. Kev, the 10-year war. You remember the 10-year war? Why would you remember the 10-year war? Neither of us were born yet. No, that was from 1969 to 1978 when Michigan and Ohio State basically had those two top tier programs. One of them, Jesus. Ohio State was coached by Woody Hayes at the time and Bo Schembechler at Michigan. I'm definitely butchering that pronunciation. That includes the game in 1971 when Woody Hayes was screaming at a ref for a blown pass interference call, where he was ejected after tearing down the 1st and 10 markers and screaming at the ref and getting in his face. There also includes a tie game in 1973 that robbed Michigan of a Rose Bowl berth. Keeping going, my notes are slipping. OSU's team getting into a scuffle with the fans after they tried to rip down the M Club banner in 1977 and 1973. Then the game of the century in 2006, when both teams entered the matchup ranked 1 and 2 for the first time in history. Last year, when they had this brawl, we had players from Michigan getting pepper sprayed by the cops. My God, this is beautiful. This is what we live and die for. And you're going to have Dave Portnoy going to the game and doing all of his chirpity nonsense. I know that Urban's going to be there too. So there's probably going to be a bunch of Michigan fans chirping some unsavory facts about Urban Meyer's past at him and everything like that. There's nothing that's off the tables in this kind of rivalry. Do we want to talk about some actual football and not just anecdotal crap?
Yes, but man, I'm wondering like over under 50 law enforcement officers on the field and the sidelines for the game.
I wanted to get to a point where like they have like the home teams like police force, but then they also bring the police force from the visiting team. And then when the brawl happens, the cops start fighting each other too.
That would be very nice to watch if only for a moment until things got very bad. But I would actually prefer more of like if the player is in the game, they're fine, but everyone on the sideline when they're not in the game, they have to be in like a Hannibal Lecter like
Oh yeah.
wheeled in a cart
Big time,
until the
dude.
coach tells them to go in and then they can be free. That's the only way to keep these guys contained. I think this matchup is it's one where if it was any other team, if it was any other game, if it was any other weekend, uh, you'd think like there'd be no question Ohio State has this. Yeah,
Right.
they have their defense is littered with #1 rankings across the stat sheet.
Dude,
It's literally only
I
because Michigan's had their number that this is
It's
such an intriguing
literally, I
matchup.
have this written down. This is the kind of game where we just need to throw stats
Yep.
away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because Ryan Day is just gonna like be there. If somehow Michigan can get on the board, he's gonna already be having a panic attack after the first drive. Like, that's just how it's gonna go down. And like you said, they've had their number since Urban Meyer left, and Harbaugh just dog walked him. And then last year Foster did the same thing. So it's so much like it defies a logic when you're watching these two teams match up, and I love it. A couple of things. Downside for Michigan here, Justice Haynes out. So that's
Oh.
still out. You got Jordan Marshall, who's going to be filling in. He's a pretty good running back. He's got 500 yards after completion this year alone. Coming up in here, Michigan is #1 in the country preventing catbuster pass plays. Catbuster pass plays, I learned today, that's a term that means 30 yards or more. I've never heard that before. Yeah, I heard it from our guy Josh Pate, weirdest SOB in the game.
Pate, yes.
Every year since 2022, an OSU QB has thrown 2 picks in this game. It includes guys like Will Howard, Kyle McCord, CJ Stroud. Pretty notable good QBs. Yeah. Did you know that? You're looking at me,
No, and that's surprising. Yeah.
you're giving me that look like I'm doing something off.
No, sorry. That was a look of like, wow, that's I mean, yeah, Ohio State's really underplayed again. And I guess it's since this might be dumb, but I guess has Ryan Day never beaten Michigan?
No.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because up until 2018, 2019, you remember the whole knock against Michigan was they could never beat Ohio State. Like they kept losing. That's why Urban Meyer got sent packing. Like they
Yep.
could never, and now it's completely flipped. You got to think maybe it's going to flip again. Would it be this year? I mean, Ohio State seems to be the best they've ever been, but
Yeah.
this is when the line is 10. God, it's so hard to pick because Ohio
So
State seems like the team to
yeah.
beat this Michigan team on paper by 14, 17, 21 points, but
It's a tough
they
game to
could also
pick, man.
lose.
They
Like,
could.
it's
Yeah. Now, okay, talking through some points, I did a really nerdy thing when I was researching this earlier when I was on the treadmill. I looked into who the biggest donors are for Michigan because I wanted to see where they're at with like NIL going forward. And I learned that Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle and founder of Oracle,
yeah, ran for
who has
governor in California.
did he? I didn't know that. That's politics, but I don't know anything about politics. He has a net worth of 248.4 million. Another one, the Barstool captain of the ship guy, Dave Portnoy, who's got that $100 million net worth. I found out that the two of them actually worked together to make sure that Bryce Underwood would get a $3 million annual deal. And as a starting true freshman QB, he's going to get that every year. Now, that begs the question, what has Michigan done this year? I'm sorry, I got to bring it up. 2 good losses, sure, to Oklahoma and to USC.
Hmm.
Burped. But I mean, the best win that they have, it's against who? Nebraska? Washington? I'm sorry. Like, I'm looking at their schedule, and it's like, yeah, they're coming to bit like they're coming into themselves a little bit, but you can't look me in the eye with a team that's only beating Purdue 21-16 and Northwestern's done all right this year. Get credit where credit is due, 24-22. I think that Maryland game was them kind of trying to catch their stride a little bit when they blew out the Terps last week. Was it last week? Yes, it was last week. But like the whole thing with like Justice Haynes out, it's making Bryce Underwood a little uncomfortable, and you can kind of tell that in his gameplay. All right, Kev, you say something.
I do have to fact check myself. Larry Ellison did not run for governor of California. That was
That
Larry
was
Elder.
Arnold
My bad, guys.
Schwarzenegger. Yes,
Yeah, my
Arnold
bad.
Schwarzenegger.
I'm tired of getting flamed whenever we post this on Reddit and people just hit me with a bullet
No,
point
you
of
know
things
what?
we've
I
gotten
don't care.
wrong.
I'm going to
So
get things wrong, and I'm going to continue to get things wrong. And if you feel the need to call me an idiot, a bozo, a clown, or just a nincompoop, give it to me. There's nothing you can say that I haven't said to myself crying in the mirror, okay? So give it all to me. One thing that Portnoy said when I was listening to him this week, that I wonder if all of Michigan thinks this way. If he said if they win this game that he doesn't want to go to the championships because it could only hurt them, and he says they're already done enough to get into the playoff. Have they?
it all depends on what happens for the other games. I mean, you could make a case
Right.
Georgia Tech goes in, upsets Georgia. They're a 2-loss team that has a win over Georgia. You know, it's hard to no. To answer your question, no. Michigan is not winning in this situation. They
They're not.
would
They're not winning a playoff berth if they win it. Is what you're saying?
no. They
Not,
could,
I don't
you
think so.
know, yeah. So say there's, say there's some losses. Say like Oklahoma loses. Say Ole Miss loses to Mississippi State. That brings up a conversation, but
Yeah.
it's not a guarantee. I get Dave Portnoy trying to, just trying to have a hot take, something that gets people
Mhm.
talking. And yeah, it could happen, but it's not a guarantee. If Michigan does get this win, they are going to have to root for either Indiana to lose against Purdue. Um, Actually, that's kind of the main thing. Yeah, if Indiana loses against Purdue, which is tough as a 28.5 point favorite, the universe would say they're not going to lose
All
that
right.
game. But no, I
Picks.
think that's kind of a little bit of an outrageous take, but not saying it couldn't happen because who knows what
Right.
goes on this week.
Picks.
Picks.
Man, you
And
coward. You
yeah, you see that.
coward.
You see that. I had to, the unspoken rule that each of us get one money line cop
All right.
out, and believe you me, I thought about using it on every single game, and I arrived at this one
Okay.
because this one truly is the most chaotic in my
It
opinion.
is.
Yeah, and it's as simple as that. I went with the under though. That I decided I had to add something
That's
in, and
bold. That is
I
bold.
I see a 21-15 game. So actually, when I was gaming this out, I see a 28-19 game.
And yeah, especially, well, the only reason I push back against that is because we got Jeremiah Smith and
Oh
Carnell
crap.
Tate. Who are both
28-19 would be over. Whatever. Anyhow, sorry. I interrupted you. Sorry. Keep going.
He's like we said, folks, he's a math guy. So yeah, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are both playing. So I think that's going to be good for Ohio State and Julian saying, is this the first test for Ohio State? I keep hearing that. Like, the more the season plays out, look, they had the Texas game at the beginning, which was supposed to be the end all be all of the year, but
That was at home, though.
it was at home.
They traveled to
Washington,
Illinois on the road. That
Illinois.
was their Illinois or Washington were
And
kind of the
look,
only.
I will say this: Ohio State has had this thing, at least on the Penn State and the Wisconsin games, where they came out slow. You know what I mean? And they had to adjust after the first half to really put the games away. Is that going to happen here? Is Ryan? But no, wait, no, hold on. I'm actually talking myself in a circle right now, because if they come out slow and Ryan Day starts panicking, you might see him hyperventilating with the bag by halftime and everything. Like, they're gonna
True. I
start.
mean, when they have came out slow, it's been their defense ensuring that the other teams also coming out slow. That's
That's
made them.
fair. Yeah,
Um,
they
yeah,
kept it
that's been
close
their
in all
recipe.
those
But this is
instances.
also two. So Underwood, that's a true freshman. Is Julian saying true freshman, or is he
No, I think
redshirt?
he's not a true freshman, if I remember correctly. I think
Okay.
he's a redshirt.
However, this is another, like, for either of those quarterbacks that being on the younger side, one of them could crack. You said,
Yeah,
like, historically, Julian Saint's going to throw 2 interceptions. Like, that's why I could only muster up a money line on this. And fellas, ladies, don't take those odds. Just don't bet on this game. If you're going to do money line, there's no
and
reason
I
to take
think
those
that,
odds.
dude, and these lines are still liable to change. I feel like definitely.
I thought there'd be more movement, not on this one, but especially on the Miami Pitt game,
This
truth
one
be told.
opened at 12.5, and I think
Oh,
some books are down to 9.5.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, the market's starting to realize that things might pick up. All right, while that should have been the most impressive one, let's go into another game. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I should have ordered
it's
it better,
fine.
but
It's fine. It's
when
fine.
I make the slides, I make the time. That I thought that
That,
rhymed in my
that
head. All
didn't
right.
work at all. Okay, let's talk about this one. Let me start by saying this one should not be in the conversation with the other ones as a rivalry.
It's
This
not.
one
No.
doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a Wikipedia page. They're not true rivals. Only things I'm going to say about this game. All right, I'm not the only thing. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to start by saying I kind of despise Pat Narduzzi at the moment because he just goes back and forth on everything I say. And is he going to prove me right or prove himself right? Excuse me. This week, I don't know, but I like their chances. All right, this
I
rivalry
mean,
has. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say when we were talking about this Pitt Georgia Tech game last week, one thing we mentioned is that Pitt makes you play a sloppy game. They're one of the
They do.
best at forcing turnovers. They force the opponent to commit penalties, which is, you'd think something you can't really game plan for, but they're one of the best in the country at it. And the reason why I think that might work in their favor, if you're Miami, I think in their heads, a 7-point win isn't enough. I think they are going to try to. They want to win by 2, 3, 4 scores to make their case, especially because Notre Dame just went to Pittsburgh on the road and whooped up on them 37-15. So Miami, I think, is going to be aggressive, and that's just where Pitt is like a counter striker on defense. If you are aggressive, they're going to catch you overextending and punch you in the neck.
Right.
And that's Pat Narduzzi. He proved us wrong last week. And yeah, Tyler, what you got? Because this one is so intriguing to me as well.
Yeah. Um, Historically speaking, I mean, Miami's just dominated this one, especially when you go back. Well, it's been lopsided since the 1980s. Kev, you and I both know what started in the 1980s. It was Mr. Jimmy Johnson and Mike Irving at the Miami who have just, taken this one. Well, they took it to Pitt pretty much every time they played that series in those 4 years. Yep. The last time they played this one was in 2022 when Pitt slapped Miami 42-16. There's one thing about this game that people aren't really talking about, Kev. This game's outcome could potentially be the final piece in the puzzle of the Miami Notre Dame playoff dilemma.
Yeah.
I think that's what we need to be talking about a little bit. Notre Dame comes out there and just literally spit shines all over Pittsburgh and Acrisure Stadium. So if Miami can't do the same, maybe, all that head to head nonsense is going to start to look a little bit fuzzy. All right. Pitt's path to the ACC championship. So they got two potential paths: win and a Virginia loss, or a win and an SMU loss. Okay. I had to literally screenshot this from earlier because I didn't want to write it all down. All the possibilities that would help for Miami, or all the convoluted paths for Miami to get to the
I got
ACC
it. I got it
championships.
on the slide right there.
Oh, dang it. Oh, okay.
Hey, no
Well,
problem.
yeah.
And I got a slide coming up that shows all the ACC scenarios, and it's a mess. It's coastal
Oh,
chaos.
good Lord. Okay. Well, I really want to get to that. So I'm going to just say in this game, Pitt has had 2 seasons. We know that this year. One pre-Mason Heinchel, second after pre-Mason Heinchel. Kid's still throwing pretty good, even in that stopping loss that they had against Notre Dame. I mean, he corrected himself pretty good last week against the Georgia Tech
And
team who's
he's
been
must-see TV. Like he
must
is,
see.
yeah.
Must see. Yeah, no. And I like how they're playing definitely right now. One thing, Malachi Tony is going to be Carson Beck's best friend in this game. Beck is coming off a stellar performance against VT, where he threw for 320 yards. He had a 27 for 32 attempts, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. There are only 2 receivers in the league right now who have a better receiving grade than Mr. Malachi Tony. Do you know who those are? Trick question.
Jeremy.
Mackay Lemon, Malachi Mackay, and Jeremiah Smith. Those are the
Hey.
only 2. So he is, by fact, the 3rd best wide receiver in the country. But you know what? This game might really come down to, Kevin. Guess what there's a chance of?
Snow. And there was a chance of snow in that Ohio State-Michigan game too, by the way. Forgot to say that. But yes, a good chance of snow.
And that's why as soon as I saw that, Kev, I'm going to edit this, or I might not, but under.
You think the under? I mean,
Weather
the line
matters.
was originally
Weather matters.
51.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is actually a little stat I'll pull out of my back pocket. Last week's win against Virginia Tech by Miami was their first win all season outside of the state of Florida. Wow.
Wowza.
That's crazy.
That is
Yeah,
crazy.
that was crazy to
Oh, I
me.
did. Yeah, I did remember hearing that. That's right.
Yeah, and then I had to fact check it. But yeah, I mean, that's could this be? I mean, they got the same name. You remember when the Miami Dolphins tried to go into Kansas City a couple years ago in playoffs, and they froze their tuchuses off? Like
Yeah,
I don't
man.
know. This is
Northern Carson Beck. Carson Beck is not a guy who's willing to adapt to things like that. There's a joke in there about cheating on your girlfriend, but I don't have enough
hey, and
brain power.
we
All right.
we are fully ready to be wrong on this. So if you're a Miami fan, let us hear it. Let us hear how
Yeah,
wrong we are
tell
about
me how
this.
wrong I am. Tell me in the Reddit threads or whatever Kev's going to post tomorrow. But okay, I'm not going to go over this too much
I
because we're
do have
kind of
something I wanted to touch on real quick on this, just because I
okay.
crunched some numbers.
Okay.
So yeah, we're obviously not doing great in our picks, and
I'm at
whenever we both
44%. Okay.
whenever we both agree on something, as I mentioned last week,
We're
we're
back to this
5
shit.
like 26 and 3 or something like that, and we did agree on every
Ah,
single
damn
one
it. Ah,
this
damn
week.
it.
So just so your Georgia Bulldogs, your Texas Longhorns, your Michigan Wolverines, and your Miami Hurricane fans know if you've somehow made it this far into the video, this could potentially be the best thing that could
And we
happen
do
for
have
your team
I just
is both
realized
of
we
us.
have an
But
even
the only
split.
other thing I wanted to say,
All right,
so
you
there's
talk.
been 13 games where we've picked and the spread was double digits or more. So like this Georgia Tech game, the Ohio State game, right? In those games, the favorite has covered the double digit spread 11 out of 13 times. The only two times where the underdog covered the spread, they didn't just cover the spread, they won the game. That was Florida State against Alabama and USF against Florida. So there is we're picking, Georgia Tech to cover plus 14. We might as well just take them money line because as the numbers have shown this year, that's what's going to happen. So that's just something that's kind of interesting. Um,
I can't
anyway, I
believe
wanted to
we
make a point
agreed
of
on
that, so I
everything.
brought it up here, but we
Jesus.
can keep going.
And you know what I'm realizing? We have an even split between favorites and dogs in our picks, too. Yeah.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do. We both are picking Georgia Tech, which are the dogs, and Pittsburgh, which are the dogs, and Texas A&M, which is a favorite, and Ohio State, which is
Sorry,
a favorite.
I got that right. Yeah, my bad, dude.
No, you didn't. You got it wrong. Excuse
No,
me.
no, I've sorry. The second I said no, we aren't, I realized. Okay, so this was
Go into this mind mold thing.
yeah, and so I meant to run this by you first, but you see that last column,
Yeah,
I
it didn't
made
matter.
both of our picks. So I'd like to kind of run through these with you, and you just kind of give your thoughts. This last column should read Kevin's picks, but I'm curious how much we align on. So the
Okay.
two games that matter in the SEC, aside from the ones we covered, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, and Alabama at Auburn. Alabama controls their own destiny. So does Texas A&M. Georgia and Ole Miss find themselves in games where they need a little help. I guess Georgia could lose to Georgia Tech, and that doesn't make a difference. But with that said, in the Egg Bowl, who do you got, Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
I agree with you. Ole Miss is going to win this, but how great would it be if that's how Ole Miss's season ends and this they lose and Lane Kiffin just leaves and they're not even in the playoffs and
I'm a new college football fan with the James Franklin hiring. I have hope, but 4 weeks ago I would have said yes. Bring the Rebels into Davy Jones' locker with me. Like bring them into the. You need pain.
oh
Um,
that that's amazing. You
Iron
know,
Bowl. Who you
I
got?
have
Iron Bowl,
seen
Alabama, Auburn.
a lot of people are picking Auburn, man. A lot of people. I can't do it though. I agree with you.
Yeah, they had the coaching.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just keep going here. I'm sorry. Indiana, I agree with that one. Purdue covers. It is too many points, although Purdue sucks, man. They suck.
But they're good for one upset a
Indiana's gonna
year.
win.
That's a rule.
Indiana's gonna win.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. Spicy pick by you.
Dude,
Oregon and Washington.
O's down, baby.
No,
O's
you know
down.
what? Yeah, no,
We
screw
don't.
it. Oregon, you're going to lose. You're going to be out of the CFP. Probably going to lose your bowl game, too, because none of you idiots know what the hell you're doing. So, yeah, Oregon, you're going way down. Yeah.
And the National Guard's coming. All right. Sorry. That was uncalled for. I'm sorry. That was a throwback to a much older episode. I'm sorry, guys.
I might edit that out, but that was great.
All right. I'm so sorry. All right.
We're going to get canceled again.
ACC. This is the next slide does show the scenarios, and we won't even go through them. But how do you feel about those picks?
Yeah, I like Duke. We got 8.5. Yeah, no, all the way. That's right. HOKIES. Okay, spicy on UNC, but I kind of like it. And then SMU. Don't overthink it. SMU in California. Oh, wait a minute. What's the rivalry where they do the chain, like the handing over of the axe between the nerds? It's Stanford and who else?
Stanford
I
and
thought it was
Cal.
Berkeley. Wait, is SMU playing Cal this weekend? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure because I looked up those lines, but
Kev, I'll edit this out, but I want to check.
okay. Yeah, as you're talking, I will say that I did leave out the Big 12, and that conference championship is not decided yet. I thought it was at first, but each of those Big 12 teams are playing one more conference game this week. I think you have Texas Tech at West Virginia, BYU's playing UCF. So there
Huh.
there's scenarios where I believe it's Utah and Arizona State have a chance to sneak in if there's some upsets. And I forgot to cover
Yeah.
those, but yeah.
No, you're good. And Kev, you were right. I was wrong. But it
Yes.
was the Berkeley Stanford game where they
Yeah.
do like the nerds where they kind of like
I
they
think that game happened last week. I think I
right.
remember
That's what it was, and it
Pat
was the
McAfee and
biggest.
them covering it.
That's what it is. I'm getting it mixed up. My bad. Okay, but yeah, I agree with that. Good lord.
Yeah, and so we're not even going to talk through this, but this is just for our fans if they want to take a screenshot. I've got the scenarios here for you. No, I didn't type that up myself.
Yeah,
Uh, that's
it
I
wasn't
stole that
Grok.
from Sports Illustrated.
There you go. Fair
They had a
enough.
good article about it.
Let's
Parlays.
talk parlays. Kev, you first. Wait,
All
there's
right,
not
and
like
nothing too
18. There's
crazy
not
here.
18 money lines on there. What the hell?
That
Set a precedent.
my 8 team money line pick from last week failed because Vanderbilt whooped up on Kentucky, and that sucks because I almost brought you guys a plus 240 parlay. But
Tyler's parlay
anyhow,
hit last week.
I got Iowa at Nebraska. Keep in mind this game is not at Iowa, so I think a total in the 40s is well within reason, but just in case I even hedged it, getting
Okay.
33.5. Florida State at Florida, also another game where defenses sometimes go missing and chaos remains. Special teams touchdowns, defensive touchdowns, kick return touchdowns, over
Mm-hmm.
45.5. And like we alluded to, Alabama money line at Auburn, I think they get it done. And I think they make it look a little easier than people are expecting. That brings you to plus 221. And how about this olive branch, Tyler? I saw this line. I think the Eagles can cover. I believe the actual line 7.5, so I just bumped that down to less than a touchdown. But I don't think Chicago's all that good. I mean, Commanders
Stop.
took them to the
No,
to the
no,
brink.
no. Stop.
You don't
Stop
like it?
talking. Stop talking.
You don't like it
Moving on
because
to
I
my
think the
parlay. No,
Eagles are
no.
going to win. Because
Time
I
out.
think there's no chance the Eagles lose to the Bears this week.
Yeah, I muted him. Okay, on to Tyler's parlay. First game, Navy at Memphis. Got to take the over on that one. I think I love taking the overs in these American game matchups. I think they always are entertaining, especially two teams that at one point had that group of 5 ambitions in their spot. Clemson 2.5 at South Carolina. It's bold, but I've noticed Dabo doing he's been kind of behind the scenes spoiling some seasons in the ACC as he's been going along the second half of this year. South Carolina, not reliable this year. Anytime I have taken them, or anytime I have expected anything out of them, or anytime it looks like they're going to pull off an upset, they just have not been good. And if my brother is watching, it's not just because it's your alma mater. I had hopes for them at the beginning of the season with the North Sows. I think everybody did. But then, so yeah, that's why I'm going to take Clemson. That's my bold pick. I'm flying a little high because my parlay hit last week. And then Louisville -3 versus Kentucky. I like Louisville, and I don't know why that spread's that small. Kev is distracted by something. And then my bonus is going to be the Ravens to cover -7 against the Bengals. Ravens are getting hot at just the right time. Bye, Kev. And I think the Bengals just do not have anything that they can bring to the table. If you want to follow just my legs for college football, you'll get plus 596. And if you want to add in my bonus, you're going to get plus 1230. And Kev has a mangy cat that he was just carrying around. What is going on?
Got a little kitty cat. This is my mom's cat, Bailey. Say hi,
Hello,
Bailey.
Bailey.
Say hi, Bailey Boo.
Bailey, we're going to line up all the picks on slides in front of you, and you'll probably do better than us just by stepping on something. All right, and then on to the weekly discussion with the guy who knows what he's talking about, Jared's NFL pick. He's going with good old Lab to have over 52.5 receiving yards against the Raiders, -110. He did hit again last week. I think he's up to like 9-2 now or something crazy. If Kev, if we didn't suck so much at gambling and just by virtue of us taking his picks make them lose, we would be up so much by just taking his picks. Again, that's an alternate reality where us taking the picks wouldn't cause them
If
to
we had a
lose.
fan or somebody watching who could take these picks, put it in like an escrow account for us, essentially.
Offshore, yes.
Yeah.
He'll be like the guy from The Wolf of Wall Street who we're taping the money to go over to sports, to go over to DraftKings in like Illinois. You know what I mean? That's how we're gonna make this work. That's right.
Meanwhile,
We're
Tyler
thinking,
and I are the
Jared.
guys from Wolf on Wall Street. Like, yeah, I don't think these Quaaludes are working, dude.
I
Anyway,
just discovered a new level. Super Pulse. Oh, that was a great movie. Speaking of movies, I think I'm going to end my night before I have to wake up early in the morning. New season of Stranger Things is just dropped. First 4 episodes. Gonna spend
I
some
saw
time
that.
watching those.
Carly and I are excited to
Um
watch it. So,
and Kev, I also love that you didn't put you didn't put the odds for combining our stuff. You just said high yield and even higher yield.
yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong.
I actually
You're not
worked out
wrong.
not a sponsorship with DraftKings, but we just set something up to where if somebody does both of our parlays combined, they immediately deactivate their account and send them the gambling hotline number. So that's a nice little thing we're doing with DraftKings.
And then you get a selfie of me and Kev in a hot tub also. Yeah. All right. Kev, this is going to be an awesome rivalry week, man.
I'm so excited. Even if we get
And
every single pick
I
wrong, we've done that before. I'm just
that's
excited for this
fine. It is
football,
what it is. I'm going to
especially if the
be
Hokies get it
watching
done.
football so much between the NFL and the college games. We have 4 straight days of football. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I cannot wait. All right. Anything else, Kev?
Nope. For Kevin, signing out. For Tyler, signing out. I hope everyone has a very
Bye.
Merry Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Bye. Peace.